Stop everything you're doing right now before this video gets taken down. Listen very carefully. What if I told you that everything you think you know about the afterlife is wrong? That an ancient forbidden manuscript that claims to hold the blueprint of the soul's journey beyond death contains secrets so powerful that they have been deliberately hidden from the world for centuries? A text so extraordinary, it claims to map out exactly what happens after death. But not just any death, your death. Imagine discovering a manuscript dating back to ancient Egypt, one that doesn't just describe the afterlife, but gives precise instructions for navigating it, step by step. But here's where things get dark. Miss one crucial detail, and your soul could be lost forever. Today, you're about to uncover the Egyptian Book of the Dead, a mystical guide crafted over 3,000 years ago, designed to navigate the perilous trials of the afterlife. This text holds secrets that could reshape how you see existence itself. Watching this could change everything: how you live, how you die, and what you believe about your soul's destiny. But be warned, once you learn this, there's no unlearning it. Are you ready to face the most profound mystery of all? Think about this. For all our progress, for all our knowledge, one question still haunts us to this day. What happens when we die? The truth is, despite all our advancements, we are no closer to understanding death than the ancient Egyptians were. And maybe that's exactly why this book still holds an undeniable power, why it continues to intrigue minds across the world. It dares to answer humanity's greatest mystery. For over 3,000 years, the Egyptian Book of the Dead has fascinated priests, scholars, and even modern researchers. Why? Because it makes a staggering claim: death is not the end. Instead, it marks the beginning of a perilous odyssey through unseen realms, each stage presenting trials, revelations, and the ultimate possibility of immortality. But here's where things get even more unsettling. These ancient depictions align eerily with modern near-death experiences. People who have been declared clinically dead often recount visions of radiant light, encounters with divine beings, and a transcendent feeling of peace. Could this really be a coincidence? Or have we, through these ancient texts, uncovered a deeper truth about the nature of existence itself? Imagine the implications of this. What if the wisdom of this ancient civilization could unlock hidden dimensions of consciousness? What if deciphering these hieroglyphic passages could teach us not just about death, but about the very essence of human awareness? The possibilities are staggering. Connecting the spiritual insight of the ancients with today's cutting-edge studies in consciousness and quantum reality. But here's the paradox. The true significance of the Egyptian Book of the Dead isn't just in its guide to the afterlife, it's in what it reveals about how we should be living. By forcing us to confront the inevitability of death, by showing us that even kings and gods must pass through judgment, it challenges us to live with purpose, integrity, and wisdom, qualities most people never fully embrace. It's not just a book for the dead, it's a wake-up call for the living. As you hear this, you might feel a mix of awe and unease. That's exactly the reaction it was meant to evoke. So I invite you to keep an open mind as we venture deeper, because to truly grasp this ancient knowledge, we must uncover its origins and the visionary civilization that first recorded it. Are you ready to meet the extraordinary minds behind this sacred wisdom? Let's begin. What if I told you that the Egyptian Book of the Dead isn't just for those who have passed on? What if it's actually a map for anyone navigating the great transformations of life itself? At the heart of this ancient text lies a profound concept: the journey of the soul. In Egyptian spirituality, death isn't the end. It's a sacred passage, a transition where everything familiar dissolves, opening the doorway to the next phase of existence. Think about it. How many times in your life have you felt suspended between what was and what's yet to come? Those moments of upheaval, uncertainty, and rebirth, each one mirrors the duat, the mystical underworld that every soul must traverse. Now here's where the Egyptian Book of the Dead, also known as the Book of Coming Forth by Day, reveals something even deeper. It doesn't describe just one transition. It lays out an entire journey of the soul, filled with trials, illusions, and ultimate revelations. Are you ready to explore this hidden path? The three great trials of the soul. First, we enter the gates of the underworld, the moment the soul departs from the body. But don't think of it as an end. Instead, imagine a breathtaking revelation, where the soul, stripped of illusion, confronts its truest self in a moment of undeniable clarity. Next comes the trial of Ma'at, the weighing of the heart. Picture yourself standing in the hall of judgment, your heart placed on the sacred scales, weighed against the feather of truth. But here's the twist. No external force determines your fate. We'll come back to that later. The final trial, the threshold of eternal life. Imagine standing at the edge of existence itself, stripped of the physical, poised on the precipice of eternity. This is the third trial, the gateway to rebirth or eternal life. And here's where the Egyptian Book of the Dead offers a truth so revolutionary that it defies time itself. You don't have to wait until death to undergo this transformation. Every moment of your life contains transitions, each one an opportunity for awakening. That feeling of being caught between sleep and wakefulness, a glimpse into the duat, the realm between worlds. Those moments of deep inspiration where time dissolves and you become fully immersed in creation. You are touching the edge of the sacred journey. And every time you stand at a crossroads choosing between paths that could redefine your life, you are undergoing your own weighing of the heart. Now, as we stand before this ancient knowledge, we're ready to take the final step. What truly happens in that pivotal moment when the soul leaves the body? Brace yourself because we are about to enter the first trial, the moment of death. The moment of death. Picture this. You are standing at the threshold of everything you have ever known. Before you, a golden radiance, blinding, eternal, seems to hold the very essence of existence itself. Behind you, the echoes of the life you've just left behind dissolve into shadow. This is the moment of passing. It's where Egyptian wisdom and the latest near-death research converge. Are you ready to step beyond the veil? The divine passage. In this extraordinary instant, the ancient Egyptians believed that death is not simply the end of the body. It is the beginning of the soul's great journey, a sacred threshold leading either to divine ascension or endless wandering. Imagine this moment. Your final breath slips away. Your heartbeat fades. The physical world falls silent. And yet, your consciousness, released from its earthly shell, is more alive than ever. This is the gateway to eternity. The light of Ra. The ancient texts speak of the light of Ra, a dazzling, infinite radiance that reveals the purest form of the soul. But here's the revelation. This light is not an illusion, nor a fleeting vision. It is truth itself, the essence of divine awareness. And now, as we step beyond the threshold, the journey through the duat truly begins. The ultimate truth, the moment of revelation. This is the truest reality, the pure, unfiltered essence of everything you have ever known. In this moment, you are given a rare and fleeting chance to perceive the universe as it truly is, free from illusion, beyond the veil of mortal perception. And here's where the stakes reach their peak. If you can recognize this divine light as your own true essence, your own consciousness unveiled, then you can transcend the cycle of life and death in an instant, a fleeting opportunity. Imagine the magnitude of this moment, breaking free from the endless cycle of death and rebirth, ascending to a state of absolute freedom beyond human comprehension. But here's the challenge. This moment vanishes as quickly as it appears. The light of Ra, the purest revelation of existence, shines only for an instant before it begins to fade. For many, this sacred opportunity slips away like a dream upon waking. Those who have not prepared, who have not cultivated this awareness during life, may find themselves overwhelmed, even terrified. Instead of recognizing the light as their own true self, they perceive it as an external force, something foreign, something unknown. And with this fear comes hesitation. That hesitation pulls the soul deeper into the duat, further from enlightenment, further from eternal life, and closer to judgment and rebirth. A hidden truth. Consider the profound secret woven into this ancient teaching. At the very threshold of existence, in that final moment, you are granted one last opportunity, a chance more powerful than any moment that has come before, a chance to break free, a chance to transcend. It is the ultimate test of awareness, one that even the most devoted spiritual seekers train their entire lives to confront. But what if this wasn't a test reserved only for the dying? What if the final moment of your life didn't have to be one of fear and uncertainty, but of clarity, strength, and liberation? The revelation of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Here's the astonishing truth revealed by the wisdom of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. This isn't just about death. Ancient Egyptian priests and initiates believed that through sacred rituals, deep meditation, and inner mastery, one could experience glimpses of this divine passage while still alive. These moments, fleeting yet profound, were considered training sessions for the soul, preparing it to face the ultimate test with full awareness. How do you prepare for such a pivotal moment? The answer lies in mastery of the mind and spirit. Through meditation, sacred invocations, and deep contemplation, the ancient Egyptians sought to attune themselves to the energies of the afterlife. This is why the most dedicated initiates, pharaohs, priests, and mystics, devoted entire lifetimes to preparing for the great transition. The more you cultivate this awareness, the more prepared you will be to recognize the light of Ra for what it truly is in that final moment. Not an end, but a doorway. A journey beyond fear, the path to divine freedom. Imagine preparing for death, not as something to be feared, but as the ultimate journey toward liberation. A passage that is not an ending, but a transformation. The trial of the underworld, visions of the Duat. Yet for many, the journey doesn't end with the light of Ra. For those unready to fully recognize it, the path continues into realms of intense, vivid, and often overwhelming experiences. Here the soul enters a place of trials and revelations, where the unseen mind unfolds before itself. And what it sees, what it encounters, are manifestations of its own essence. The Hall of Illusions. Imagine this. You've stepped beyond the radiant light, deeper into the unknown. Now you find yourself standing in a grand cosmic hall, a place that seems at once divine and surreal. Around you, figures of breathtaking beauty radiate with celestial power, while monstrous forms of shadow and chaos loom at the edges of existence. Gods, demons, celestial judges, all surrounding you in a divine theater, seemingly determining your fate. But here's the truth that changes everything. These beings are not separate from you. They are reflections of your own soul, manifestations of every hidden fear, every secret desire, every unresolved burden. This is the trial of the Duat, a journey through your own subconscious, where truth is revealed on a scale beyond human comprehension. Are you ready to face yourself? The ancient Egyptians believed that this trial was not merely about judgment, it was about self-awareness. The gods you encounter are the energies within you. The monsters are the shadows of your past. The trials are not punishments but opportunities to transcend. And now, the ultimate test begins. Do you embrace these visions as parts of yourself? Or do you recoil, clinging to fear, pushing yourself further from truth and deeper into illusion? The choice determines the fate of your soul. Would you like to continue deeper into the Duat and explore what happens next? The trial of truth, visions in the Duat. In this stage, the soul encounters spirits both benevolent and terrifying, each revealing the essence of everything carried within. The Duat is not merely a place of judgment. It is a mirror, a realm that does not show you external forces, but the deepest layers of who you truly are. Every radiant god embodies your highest virtues, while every monstrous being reflects the fears, regrets, and attachments buried within your soul. Each figure, every god and demon, asks you a single question. Will you recognize them as aspects of yourself, or will you retreat in fear? The divine guardians, the peaceful spirits. Let's begin with the beings of light and wisdom. Imagine yourself surrounded by luminous figures, gods who radiate compassion, power, and boundless understanding. You may encounter Osiris, the Lord of the Afterlife, embodying justice, transformation, and the promise of rebirth. Thoth, the scribe of the gods, whose wisdom reveals the truth of all things, showing you the knowledge you have gained and the lessons you have ignored. Ma'at, the goddess of truth, who holds the feather of balance, reminding you of the harmony between your thoughts, words, and deeds. Their presence is overwhelming, awe-inspiring, yet deeply familiar. But here's the test. Can you recognize these divine beings as reflections of your own soul? Can you embrace them as the highest potential within you? If you can, the journey ends here. You have transcended the cycle. You are one with the gods. But for many, this moment is too much to bear. The unprepared mind, unable to accept its own brilliance, begins to retreat into illusion. The shadowed ones, the wrathful spirits. And as the soul withdraws from the light, the vision changes. The golden glow begins to darken. The serene faces twist into fierce expressions. The gods transform into terrifying, wrathful figures. Now you stand before the dreaded forces of chaos. These beings are not here to destroy you. They are manifestations of everything unresolved within you: rage, envy, attachment, regret. Set, the god of storms, whose fiery eyes and mighty spear demand that you confront the destruction you have sown. Ammit, the devourer of souls, whose presence forces you to acknowledge the weight of your unexamined actions. The serpents of Apep, twisting and coiling around you, representing the fears that have held you back in life. But here's the hidden truth. They are not your enemies. They are the parts of you that have remained hidden, the aspects of your soul you refuse to face. They are here for one reason only: to force you to confront what you have buried. Can you stand in the face of these forces without fear? Or will you succumb to illusion, pushing yourself further from the truth? The profound purpose of the trial. This is not a punishment. It is a revelation. The Duat is not a place where your fate is decided by others. It is a realm where you reveal yourself to yourself. The Egyptian texts teach that these visions are not external gods judging you. They are shadows cast by your own soul. They reveal everything that shaped your existence: the attachments that bound you, the fears that controlled you, the desires you never acknowledged, laid bare in a way that cannot be ignored. This is the confrontation of a lifetime, a chance to transcend everything that has held you back, but only if you can face it with awareness. Why does this matter now? Because what you meet in the afterlife is what you carry within you now. These visions are not just for the dead. They are reflections of what already exists inside you, shaping your choices, influencing your actions, dictating your fears and desires. What you encounter in the Duat is already a part of you. The anger, the envy, the compassion, the wisdom. These are the forces that will decide your fate, not in some distant afterlife, but in every moment of your existence. The Duat is already here. The gods and demons are already within you, seeing your life through the afterlife. What if you began to see every fear, every moment of anger, every moment of inspiration as a god of the Duat, standing before you, offering a lesson, a choice, an opportunity? What if every struggle in life was not a punishment, but a divine challenge, a test of the soul's evolution? The ancient Egyptians understood something we have long forgotten. The afterlife does not begin at death. It is happening now. And every decision you make shapes the journey that awaits you beyond the veil. Are you ready to face what lies within? The psychology of the afterlife, ancient wisdom and the human mind. Psychologists like Carl Jung have drawn remarkable parallels between these ancient teachings and the structure of the human psyche. Jung saw the gods and demons of the Egyptian Book of the Dead as archetypes, universal figures within us all, representing the collective unconscious that shapes human experience. He wrote, "Gods and demons are projections of the unconscious, powerful and inescapable until understood as parts of ourselves." The power of this insight. This realization is profound. It reminds us that these forces are already within us, influencing our thoughts, emotions, and actions, whether we recognize them or not. They aren't just visions for the afterlife. They are active forces in our daily consciousness, waiting to be understood. The Duat is not just a realm of judgment. It is a psychological experience, an unveiling of the hidden forces that govern our lives. The true purpose of the trial. The second trial of the Duat isn't simply about facing fear. It's about integrating every part of your mind, the light and the shadow, the divine and the monstrous. Ask yourself, can you look at the darkest parts of yourself with awareness and compassion? Can you confront your fears, anger, and insecurities without letting them consume you? Because this is the path to liberation. Understanding that all these forces, both beautiful and terrifying, are not external judgments, but reflections of who you are. The danger of not seeing the truth. But there is a warning here. For those who fail to recognize these beings as projections of their own consciousness, the experience can become overwhelming. The mind, unable to grasp its own nature, becomes trapped in its illusions, mistaking its own creations for external threats. It is like being lost in a nightmare of your own making. And as fear takes hold, the soul begins to descend. The stakes have never been higher. If you do not recognize these projections as your own mind, you risk falling deeper into the abyss, into cycles of fear, into delusions that cloud reality, into the eternal loop of rebirth, bound by the very attachments and aversions you refuse to face. This is the ultimate test. To move forward, the soul must break free. But to do that, you must confront what lies ahead. The final revelation, a mirror to the soul. The second trial of the duat is a revelation, an unveiling of the self at its most raw and intense. It is a divine mirror, exposing what truly resides within. This is not punishment. It is an opportunity, a rare, powerful chance to confront, understand, and transform. To see yourself without illusions. To embrace every part of your mind. To finally understand who you really are. But if you fail to recognize this truth, if you turn away in fear, then the journey will only grow darker. Are you ready to see your soul laid bare? Can you stand before this mirror of the divine and accept everything that appears? Because the next step plunges even deeper, where the choices you make here will determine the very essence of your existence. Your fate is no longer in the hands of the gods. Your own soul will decide what happens next. Entering the final trial, the gateway to rebirth. Now imagine drifting in a formless sea. The life you once knew is gone. Yet something pulls you forward, a force as magnetic as gravity, drawing you toward a new reality. You have entered the final trial of the duat, the gateway to rebirth. Here, everything you have ever done, every thought, every desire, every unresolved emotion, becomes the force that will determine what comes next. Your consciousness, stripped bare, is no longer bound by illusion. It is a magnet, drawing in the very elements that will shape your next existence. There is no external judgment, no gods deciding your fate. The duat is responding to you, to the weight of your choices, to the truths you accepted and the fears you denied. The next chapter of your soul is about to be written, and it is written by the essence of who you are. This is not a passive drift through the afterlife. It is an intense, chaotic process of creation. Every choice you made, every attachment you clung to, every secret fear you carried, all of it is now shaping the reality that awaits you. The stakes could not be higher. The ultimate truth of existence is revealed. You are not simply moving through the afterlife, you are creating it. And what happens next, the path your soul takes from here, is entirely up to you. The gateway of rebirth, where karma becomes destiny. In the final trial of the duat, there are no illusions, no escape. Here you are both the creator and the creation, the architect and the foundation, shaping the blueprint of your next existence with every thought, every intention, and every unresolved emotion. This is where karma takes form, where the energy you have cultivated in life becomes the force that draws you into your next reality. This is the threshold of rebirth, the moment of creation, a universe of possibilities. Imagine yourself surrounded by an infinite swirl of visions, faces of people you've never met, yet somehow feel familiar. Vast landscapes, some radiant and golden, others shadowed and stormy. Entire worlds, each one pulling at you, beckoning your soul toward a new existence. But these are not random images. They are the sum total of your inner state. If you have cultivated compassion, wisdom, and self-awareness, the visions are bright, welcoming, leading you toward a life of higher consciousness, opportunity, and freedom. But if fear, resentment, or attachment still dominate, the visions take on chaotic, unsettling forms, drawing you toward a realm shaped by those very emotions. Each potential rebirth pulls at you, tugging on the invisible threads of karma, leading you toward the life you are most aligned with. This is not a judgment imposed by any external god. This is the mirror of your own mind, revealing the culmination of your actions, choices, and intentions. The choices you make in the gateway of rebirth. And here's where everything intensifies. The choices you make in this moment, the emotions you cling to, the attachments you refuse to release, directly influence your rebirth. Your mind becomes a divine compass, aligning with the world that matches your current state of being. Imagine the storm, a vortex of emotions and memories spiraling around you, tugging you toward one existence or another. This is the ultimate challenge. Can you find the calm within the chaos? Can you anchor yourself in clarity, choosing liberation over illusion? Or will you be swept away by the currents of unresolved karma, bound once more to another cycle of birth and death? The final question, are you ready to break free? This is not just a moment in the afterlife. This is the foundation of existence itself. And what happens next, where your soul goes from here, is determined by one thing only: your own awareness. Are you ready to step beyond the cycle? Or will you be drawn back into the world, repeating the lessons once more? The choice is yours. The visions are doorways, portals to the next existence. Now consider this: the visions you encounter in the final trial of the duat aren't just fleeting images. They are doorways, portals into realms that resonate with the energy of your soul. Each vision reflects the intensity of the emotions you carried in life, the fears, the desires, the attachments you left unresolved. It is as if your entire existence, past, present, and future, unfolds before you in a vast cinematic reel, a glimpse into all possible destinies. And at the center of every doorway lies one question: will you step through, or will you pause, see the path with clarity, and choose with awareness? The stark truth of the trial of rebirth. This final phase of the journey holds a stark and inescapable truth. You do not consciously choose your next life the way you might select a new path in waking reality. It is your accumulated karma, every action, every intention, every thought, that acts as a gravitational force, pulling you toward the realm that matches your soul's current frequency. Like a river flowing toward the ocean, your soul is being carried toward its destination, not by external gods, but by the weight of its own past. And yet, within this process, there is a sliver of choice, a moment of awareness that can change everything. If you can maintain clarity, if your mind remains steady, you may still influence where you go next. If you can see each vision for what it truly is, not reality, but a projection of your own mind, you may even transcend the pull entirely. The key is detachment. To recognize that these visions do not control you, that they are simply reflections of who you have been. And in that realization, there is power. A lesson for life, not just death. The ancient Egyptians did not believe this knowledge was meant only for the dead. Like Tibetan masters, they understood something profound. The duat is not just an afterlife. It is a reflection of life itself. What if every action you take, every thought you nurture, every act of kindness, every moment of wisdom is not just shaping this life, but countless lives to come? What if right now you are already carving the path that your soul will one day walk? Because if death is a mirror, then so is life. And what you do today may decide your fate for eternity. The final trial, a truth we cannot escape. The final trial of the duat forces us to confront a profound truth. We are constantly shaping the karma that determines our soul's journey. Our lives are interconnected. Each choice, each action, each thought sends ripples through time, not just shaping today, but eternity. But here's the burning question. If you are trapped in cycles of fear, anger, or attachment, how do you break free? The path to liberation, mastering the mind. The ancient Egyptians, like the Tibetan masters, believed that liberation comes not from blind obedience, but from deep self-awareness. It's not just about being good or avoiding misdeeds. It's about understanding the mind itself, seeing the root causes of your actions, recognizing the forces that drive you, and addressing them with absolute clarity. The more awareness you cultivate now, the less likely you are to be swept away by the forces of the duat when the time comes. Karma, a reflection, not a punishment. The duat does not impose judgment. There is no punishment, no reward. There is only reflection, the projection of your own mind onto the fabric of reality. In this sense, every moment of mindfulness you cultivate in life is a step toward liberation. It is a way of steering your soul toward a future of wisdom, rather than being pulled by the weight of unresolved karma. This final phase of the duat reveals the ultimate lesson. The power of your mind to create reality is not confined to life or death. It is happening every second. Every choice you make, every habit you reinforce, is shaping your future existence. A question to reflect on. Let this sink in for a moment. Ask yourself, how much of your current life is shaped by unconscious patterns? How often do you act out of fear, habit, or impulse rather than with clear intention? The final trial of the duat reminds us of something crucial. Every moment is a chance to alter the destiny of your soul. So here's the question. If you could change the course of your next life right now, what would you choose? And more importantly, how will you begin shaping that destiny in this very moment? Preparing for death as the ultimate journey. Imagine preparing for death not as an end, but as the most important journey you will ever take. Not as something to be feared, but as a profound opportunity for transformation. This isn't just a poetic idea. It was a core practice in Egyptian spiritual traditions. Like the Tibetan masters, they saw life as a training ground, a place where every thought, every action, every breath was preparation for the ultimate transition. Because if the duat is simply a reflection of the mind, then every moment of mindfulness, every act of wisdom, every choice made with awareness is training for your soul's greatest adventure. The ultimate question, are you ready? What if death was not the end, but the final test of all you have learned? What if every moment in this life was an opportunity to prepare yourself for that transition? Because when the time comes, you will enter the duat alone, and the only thing you will carry with you is who you have become. So ask yourself now, are you ready to step beyond the cycle, or will you be drawn back into the world, repeating the lessons once more? The choice is yours. The practice of soul transference, mastering the transition beyond life. The ancient Egyptians, like the Tibetan masters, understood that the journey beyond death is not just for the dying, it is for the living. They left behind powerful rituals, practices designed to cultivate clarity, courage, and divine awareness, not just to ease the transition into the afterlife, but to help the living break free from fear and attachment. One of the most sacred of these practices was known as the ritual of soul transference, the power of soul transference. Imagine yourself at the moment of death, your body fading, but your mind clear, focused, unwavering. You are not grasping for life, you are directing your awareness beyond it. Like an arrow aimed toward eternity, you consciously guide your soul toward the light of Ra, beyond the illusions of the material world. The ancient Egyptians believed that this technique, a form of conscious awareness at the moment of passing, was the key to escaping the cycle of rebirth and attaining divine ascension. Could this ancient wisdom hold the key to finding peace and freedom no matter how life unfolds? A practical approach, meditating on impermanence. Here's where it gets practical. Start each day with a meditation on impermanence, a simple but profound truth. Nothing lasts forever. Everything you know, your body, your experiences, even your struggles, is temporary. But rather than creating fear, this awareness changes everything. It makes each moment more vivid. It makes every decision more intentional. It shifts your perspective from the temporary to the eternal. Imagine living each day as if you were preparing for your greatest journey. Not by avoiding death, but by embracing life fully, with awareness and purpose. What if, instead of fearing the end, you saw each day as an opportunity to grow, love, and experience life with absolute clarity? The power of remembering impermanence. The ancient Egyptians, like Tibetan Buddhists, believed that a daily awareness of impermanence creates resilience, clarity, and inner peace, so that when the final moment comes, you are not afraid, you are prepared, you are calm, and most importantly, you are ready to release. Because in the end, liberation does not happen at death. It happens in every moment you choose to live with awareness. The ultimate question, are you ready to awaken? This knowledge is not just for the dying, it is for you, right now. So, ask yourself, are you living with awareness, or are you asleep in your habits? Are you embracing life fully, or are you postponing what truly matters? If death came tomorrow, would you be ready to release without regret? Because this is not just about preparing for death. It is about awakening in life. And that journey begins now. The practice of divine reciprocity, cultivating compassion and awareness. Another essential practice in the ancient Egyptian path to spiritual transformation was the cultivation of compassion and divine reciprocity. a principle that closely mirrors the Tibetan practice of Tonglen. Imagine this. Instead of seeking only personal enlightenment, you extend your awareness beyond yourself, breathing in the suffering of others, breathing out divine light, healing, and balance in return. This was the essence of Ma'at, the principle of truth, harmony, and interconnectedness. The power of compassion in the afterlife. In Egyptian spirituality, just as in Tibetan Buddhism, compassion was not seen as a luxury. It was seen as essential for the soul's journey through the duat. Why? Because fear binds the soul to illusion, while love dissolves the barriers between the self and the divine. When faced with the trials of the duat, a heart that is pure, open, and attuned to love can transform fear into freedom. The Egyptians believed that only a soul aligned with Ma'at, the cosmic balance of truth and justice, could pass through the final judgment unburdened. To develop this quality in life was to prepare the soul for eternity. The power of sacred chants, aligning with the divine now. Consider the role of sacred words and sound vibrations, the Egyptian counterpart to mantras. These were not just phrases, but divine frequencies chanted for thousands of years to align the soul with higher states of awareness. Imagine the focus, the clarity, the stillness that comes from repeating these sacred incantations, each one attuning your consciousness to the rhythms of the cosmic order. Think of them as divine tuning forks, harmonizing your mind with the very structure of existence. Mantras and incantations, preparing for life and death. The ancient Egyptians used sacred chants and invocations not just to prepare for death, but to live with intention, presence, and fearlessness. By repeating these invocations daily, the mind was trained to remain calm and unwavering even in the face of the unknown. Just as Tibetan Buddhists used mantras to navigate the bardos, Egyptian initiates used sacred texts and chants to ensure their consciousness remained awake and aware during the transitions of both life and death. Because in the end, how you live is how you will die, and how you die is how you will awaken. The final test. Are you ready? Imagine facing the moment of judgment, standing before the scales of Ma'at, your heart placed against the feather of truth. If your heart is heavy with regret, fear, or attachment, it will sink, and your soul will be drawn back into the cycle, bound to another existence shaped by the weight you still carry. But if your heart is light, if you have cultivated wisdom, compassion, and awareness, it will rise, and you will pass through the gates of eternity, free to step beyond the cycle. So the question is not just, are you ready to die? The question is, are you ready to awaken? Because in truth, every moment of life is already part of this journey, and every thought, every action, is shaping what happens next. Seeing the big picture, a journey beyond life and death. Now, let's zoom out and see the bigger picture. The ancient Egyptian path to the afterlife was never just about death. It was a blueprint for how to live. These sacred teachings, like the Tibetan practices, are not merely rituals for the dying. They are tools to reshape your entire perception of existence. Because when you begin to see each moment as precious, each thought as a force shaping your destiny, each action as a thread woven into eternity, everything changes. Petty concerns fade away, replaced by purpose, by awareness, by an unshakable sense of clarity. The real power of preparing for death while living. And this is the true power of preparing for death while still alive. You are no longer controlled by fear. You are no longer at the mercy of uncertainty. Instead, you become empowered, calm, focused, and ready, knowing that whatever comes next, you have cultivated the wisdom to face it, with grace, with strength, with awareness. Because the truth is, you do not wait until death to face yourself. You do not wait until the afterlife to awaken. The journey through the duat is not something that happens later. It is happening right now. And the way you live this moment determines the path you walk in eternity. The final question, are you ready? The ancient Egyptians believed that a well-lived life was the only preparation needed for a well-guided death. Because in the end, it is not wealth that will determine your fate. It is not power that will save your soul. It is not even knowledge that will set you free. It is the weight of your heart, the clarity of your mind, the awareness you carry in every moment of your existence. So ask yourself, are you truly awaking in this life? Are you making choices with awareness? Are you preparing not just for death, but for something far greater, your ultimate awakening? Because when the time comes, you will stand before the scales of Mad. Your heart will be weighed against the feather of truth, and in that moment, the path of your soul will be revealed. Are you ready? A different approach to death. A different way to live. Imagine if our society embraced even a fraction of this wisdom. Instead of fearing death, we could learn from it. Instead of avoiding its reality, we could allow it to shape how we live. The ancient Egyptians, like the Tibetan Buddhists, saw death not as an end, but as a great teacher, a force that, when understood, could motivate us to live more fully, more courageously, more consciously. It was never about avoiding death. It was about living with such awareness, such clarity, that death becomes nothing more than a doorway, another step in an endless journey. Could embracing this philosophy be the key to a life with less fear and greater joy? What if facing death was not just preparation for the afterlife, but the secret to unlocking true freedom in life? These practices are for everyone. This wisdom isn't reserved for pharaohs, priests, or mystics hidden away in sacred temples. These practices were always meant for everyone. For anyone willing to wake up, to see life as a preparation for something greater. So why wait? Start today. Live with awareness. Make your choices with intention. Embrace these teachings and let them transform not just your death, but every single moment leading up to it. The ultimate question. The question remains, how will you prepare for this journey? And even more importantly, how will it change the way you live right now? Let me know your thoughts below. The Power of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, a guide for the journey beyond. Imagine this, you are lying on your deathbed, surrounded by loved ones. But instead of silence or empty reassurances, a sacred voice begins to speak, whispering the secrets of a journey no one else can see. These are not just words. They are a powerful map through the afterlife, a set of divine instructions offering direction, purpose, and the chance to break free from the endless cycle of rebirth and illusion. This isn't fiction. This is the transformative experience of using the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Book of Coming Forth by Day, as a tool for conscious dying, a spiritual guide for the soul's passage. Now, picture the scene in an ancient Egyptian temple. As someone approaches death, a high priest, one who has spent a lifetime mastering these sacred rites, sits beside them. This priest reads from the Book of the Dead, describing in vivid poetic detail the trials the soul will face as it journeys through the Duat, the mystical underworld. These words are not mere comfort, they are instructions, a spiritual compass guiding the soul through realms most people can only imagine. Because in the Duat, nothing is random. Every trial, every vision, every god that appears is a reflection of the soul's own mind, and how you respond will determine your fate. Will you recognize the illusions and step beyond the cycle? Or will you fall back into the familiar patterns that have kept you bound for lifetimes? A contrast to the modern world, a lost approach to death. This ancient tradition takes end-of-life care to an entirely different level, treating death not as a tragedy, but as the most profound transition of all. Contrast this with the way modern society approaches death, often met with fear or avoidance, managed in clinical, sterile environments, rarely spoken about openly except in hushed tones. To most people, death is something to be feared, delayed, or ignored. But in ancient Egypt, just as in Tibetan Buddhism, death was meticulously prepared for, not as an end, but as a transformation. The Egyptian Book of the Dead, a spiritual compass. The Egyptian Book of the Dead was more than a funerary text. It was a spiritual compass, a guide for the soul as it journeyed through the afterlife, helping it navigate. Blinding lights of divine revelation, serene gods of wisdom and justice, fierce demons that test the soul's resolve. But here's the incredible twist. These beings were not external judges or forces of punishment. They were reflections of the soul itself, mirrors of the inner world, unveiling the truths the soul carried within. Imagine having a guide in the afterlife now. Imagine having a guide by your side as you step into the unknown. Someone who helps you recognize that these visions, these gods, these trials, are not meant to punish, but to reveal. This is exactly what the Egyptian Book of the Dead provided. a roadmap to navigate the illusions that arise in the transition beyond life. It was not just a script read at the tombside. It was a manual for awakening, a set of instructions designed to help the soul see beyond illusion and realize its true nature. The final question: are you ready to see the truth? If this journey is a mirror, what will you see when you look into it? And more importantly, are you preparing now, while still alive, to face what awaits beyond the veil? Because one thing is certain, the journey does not begin at death. It begins now. The light of divine awareness, a final opportunity for liberation. As the light of Ra shines in the first stage of the duat, your guide gently encourages you to merge with it, to see it not as something outside of you, but as the purest reflection of your own essence. This is the moment of ultimate clarity, a final opportunity to awaken. The impact of guidance in the afterlife. Now, imagine the impact of having such guidance. Someone who doesn't just comfort you, but steers you toward liberation, rather than letting you slip back into the cycle of rebirth and illusion. The teachings of the Egyptian Book of the Dead reveal that death is not just an end. It is an unparalleled chance for enlightenment. It is the soul's moment of truth, and with the right awareness, it can be the gateway to eternity. The role of the guide, a navigator through the afterlife. But who ensures that you do not lose your way? The priest, the guide, the spiritual navigator, plays a vital role in this transition. Think of them as a trusted navigator, helping you steer through uncharted waters. This guide, well versed in the rituals and wisdom of the duat, becomes your anchor, a reminder of all the knowledge and awareness you cultivated in life. They are there to steady you when illusions appear. They are there to redirect your focus toward the truth, toward the light of Ra, the eternal consciousness beyond illusion. This is one of the deepest expressions of compassion in Egyptian tradition. A soul guide walking beside you, bridging the worlds of the living and the dead, offering direction in the moment of ultimate transition. The teachings for the dying, preparing for the journey. Now, consider the sacred instructions given to the dying. They are told not to fear the radiant light that emerges as consciousness begins to detach from the physical body. Instead, they are encouraged to embrace it, to recognize it as the very essence of divine awareness, to see it as the key to freedom. Every step of the journey is explained. The peaceful gods who embody wisdom, justice, and compassion. The wrathful deities who reflect hidden fears and desires. The trials and illusions that must be overcome. What if you were prepared? Imagine how different your experience of death might be if you were fully prepared. If you could meet each vision, each force, each test without fear, not as a punishment, not as a threat, but as an opportunity for insight and liberation. Because in the end, death is not something that happens to you. It is something you navigate. And the journey you take after death is shaped by the awareness you cultivate right now. A contrast with Western views on death, a shift in perspective. Consider how this ancient wisdom contrasts with modern Western attitudes toward death. In much of today's world, dying is treated purely as a medical event, a process managed by doctors, occurring in sterile hospital rooms, often surrounded by fear, avoidance, and uncertainty. But in ancient Egypt, just as in Tibetan Buddhism, death was understood to be as much a spiritual journey as it was a physical one. It was not an end, but a transition. And those who prepared for it properly did not face it with fear, but with awareness and readiness. This perspective challenges us to rethink how we approach end-of-life care. Imagine the peace of knowing that death is not a fearful plunge into the unknown, but a guided passage, a journey toward the ultimate realization of who you are. The Egyptian Book of the Dead, a companion for the journey. The Egyptian Book of the Dead was not just a text. It was a companion for the soul, a guidebook for navigating the great transition, a map for the moment when the boundaries of life and death dissolve. But you may be wondering, can these ancient teachings really apply to my life today? The transformative truth, applying this wisdom in the modern world. Here's the transformative truth. Understanding death is not reserved for priests, monks, or mystics. Anyone, including you, can benefit from the lessons of the Book of the Dead by living with more intention, practicing mindfulness. Seeing life as preparation for this final journey. Because what if, instead of avoiding the thought of death, you embraced it as a teacher? What if you saw every moment of life as a preparation for awakening, so that when the time came, you were not afraid, but ready, clear, and fully aware? Imagine the freedom of living each day, knowing that when everything changes, you will face it with clarity, courage, and peace. Because in the end, death is not the enemy. Unawareness is. The final question: are you ready? The Egyptian Book of the Dead teaches us that death is not something that happens to you. It is something you navigate. So the question remains, are you ready for the journey? And more importantly, how will this change the way you live right now? Learning to live by learning to die. As we step deeper into the teachings of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, let this ancient wisdom serve as a reminder. Life and death are not opposites, they are intertwined. To learn how to die consciously is to learn how to live fully, with an open heart, with fearless awareness, with the understanding that this moment is all we truly have. A powerful question to reflect on. Ask yourself, how would it change you to approach each day as preparation for the greatest journey of your soul? How might you live differently if you knew you were ready to meet death, not with fear, but with understanding, acceptance, and profound peace? The radical roadmap to true freedom. What if I told you that by embracing death, you could unlock a life of deeper purpose, clarity, and even joy? Imagine waking up each morning with the profound awareness that every breath might be your last. How would that change? The choices you make? The way you treat others? The way you see yourself in the world? The Egyptian Book of the Dead isn't just a guide for the dying. It is a radical roadmap for the living, a blueprint for how to move through life with true freedom, presence, and wisdom. Why do we fear death? In modern society, death is often treated as taboo, a subject to be avoided, feared, or hidden away. But what if this very avoidance was holding us back from living an authentic, meaningful life? The wisdom of the Egyptian Book of the Dead challenges us to face mortality head-on, not as something to fear, but as a powerful tool for transformation. Because in the end, it is not death that enslaves us, it is the fear of it. And the moment we begin to see death clearly, we finally begin to understand life. The ultimate question: are you ready to see the truth? This is the wisdom that has been passed down for thousands of years. By learning how to die, you learn how to live. So ask yourself, what would you change in your life today if you fully embraced the reality of death? What fears would you release? What dreams would you stop postponing? How would you love if you knew time was running out? Because the truth is, time is always running out. The only question that remains is, are you ready to wake up before it's too late? Every transition is a rebirth, the cycles of life and death. In the face of death, all distractions disappear. What remains is only what truly matters. Now imagine approaching life's changes, big or small, with the same presence and awareness that ancient Egyptian priests and initiates brought to the moment of death. Every breakup, every job loss, every period of uncertainty. These are all mini-deaths, transitions that the Egyptians understood as part of the same eternal cycle of existence. In Tibetan teachings, they call these moments bardos, gateways to transformation. The ancient Egyptians had their own version of this truth. Each ending is not final. Each loss is a rebirth in disguise. So, what if, instead of feeling lost or overwhelmed, you saw each challenge as an opportunity for renewal, bringing this awareness into daily life? This is the essence of Egyptian wisdom. Every transition, every ending is a doorway to something greater. But how do we bring this awareness into our everyday lives? How do we train ourselves to see life's challenges through the lens of transformation? A simple yet profound practice, meditating on impermanence. The Egyptian priests, like Tibetan masters, understood that the awareness of impermanence is the key to freedom from fear. This is why they practiced daily rituals and meditations that reminded them of the fleeting nature of all things. Imagine waking up each morning with the awareness that today is a gift. Every breath is sacred. Nothing is guaranteed. This shift in perspective can be life-changing, because when you live knowing that all things are temporary, you stop wasting time on fear, hesitation, and regret. You begin to live fully, presently, with intention. The exchange of energy, a practice of compassion. Another profound practice in both Tibetan and Egyptian traditions is the idea of energetic exchange. Here's how it works. With every inhale, you imagine taking in the pain and suffering of others. With every exhale, you send out love, healing, and light. This simple but powerful exercise expands your heart, dissolves self-centeredness, strengthens your connection to all beings, but even more than that, it prepares you for the ultimate act of release when the time comes to let go of this life. Because the greatest freedom is not just to accept death, but to meet it with an open heart, connected, fearless, and at peace. The ultimate realization, life as sacred preparation. Imagine living every day with this kind of awareness. Knowing that every transition, every challenge, every moment of uncertainty is part of a larger spiritual journey. Imagine the freedom of no longer seeing loss as something to fear, but as something that guides you toward deeper wisdom and growth. Because in the end, death is not the final lesson. How you live is. And when the time comes, will you meet it with fear, or will you step forward, aware, accepting, and ready for the next great transformation? Recognizing the light of divine awareness. What about the practice of recognizing the light of awareness, the moment when consciousness transcends illusion? Egyptian teachings, much like Tibetan wisdom, encourage us to see beyond the noise of daily life, to recognize moments of stillness, clarity, and insight as glimpses of a deeper reality. Every time you pause, every time you feel truly present, every time you experience a moment that feels timeless and boundless, you are touching the same awareness described in the Duat, the same radiance that appears in the final moments before the soul's judgment. Imagine carrying this calm, cantered awareness into your daily tasks, your interactions, your challenges. How might it change the way you react? How might it change the way you live? Living as if every moment matters. Now consider, what would happen if you treated each encounter, each task, each breath as if it were your last? Your relationships would deepen. Petty conflicts would lose their grip. You would begin to feel the vastness of each moment. Because here's the truth. By embracing these teachings, you are not just preparing for the end of life, you are transforming how you live right now. It's a shift from merely existing to living with purpose, clarity, and courage. The radical invitation of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Think about the profound freedom in this mindset. The Egyptian Book of the Dead was never just about guiding the dead. It was a radical invitation to live with the same intensity and awareness that we bring to our final moments, to wake up before it's too late. Because by learning to die consciously, you learn to live more fully. What if, by facing your fears of death, you unlocked a life filled with meaning, depth, and beauty beyond anything you had ever imagined? The final question, are you ready to awaken? Every moment is an opportunity. To be fully present. To live without regret. To embrace the unknown with awareness and strength. Because when the time comes, when your heart is weighed against the feather of Ma'at, it won't be your wealth, your status, or your possessions that matter. It will be the truth of how you lived. So the question remains, are you ready to wake up before it's too late? Applying this wisdom to daily life. As you reflect on these ancient teachings, a final question arises. How can you take this timeless wisdom and apply it to every decision, every interaction, every breath? How might your life transform if you saw every day as an opportunity for awakening, a chance to live as if this were your last day on earth? Because here's the truth. The Egyptian Book of the Dead was never just about preparing for death. It was about mastering the art of living. And now, get ready. Because we're about to explore how this wisdom can become your ultimate guide, not just to dying, but to living with passion, clarity, and purpose that defies all fear. Where science and spirituality meet now, imagine for a moment that an ancient Egyptian text, written thousands of years ago, might hold the key to some of the most profound questions in modern science. What is consciousness? Can the mind truly transcend death? And if so, what does that mean for how we live today? This is not some mystical fantasy. This is a reality. A mystery that has drawn scientists, psychologists, and philosophers to study the Egyptian Book of the Dead with the same intensity once reserved for microscopes and lab results. A revolutionary perspective. And here's where things get truly revolutionary. What if the ancient Egyptians were right all along? What if consciousness truly can transcend the body? What if death is not an ending, but a shift in awareness? And most importantly, what might that mean for how we approach life itself? We are only beginning to grasp the possibilities. But one thing is becoming clear. The more we study these death states, the more we realize they are not just about dying. They are about unlocking deeper layers of awareness, right here, right now. Because the ultimate truth is this: life and death are not separate. They are part of the same great mystery. And the moment we understand that, we stop living in fear and start living in freedom. Are you ready to awaken? Everything you've learned leads to this. What if death is not something that happens to you, but something you prepare for? What if the way you live today is shaping what happens after you die? And what if, by embracing this truth, you could live with more meaning, more depth, and more courage than ever before? Because in the end, the greatest secret of the afterlife is not about death. It is about how you choose to live. So ask yourself, are you ready to awaken? And if so, how will you live differently starting today? The future of human understanding, where science meets ancient wisdom. Imagine living with a profound awareness that death is not an end, but a transformative journey into the deepest realms of the mind. As we contemplate these connections, we find ourselves at the frontier of human understanding, a place where ancient spiritual traditions and cutting-edge science are converging to unravel the mysteries of consciousness. A new way of seeing life and death. As we stand on this precipice, the Egyptian Book of the Dead offers us a unique invitation to see our lives, our minds, and our ultimate journey in a completely new light. Are you ready to explore what happens when ancient wisdom and modern science meet? Because what you discover might just change everything you thought you knew about life, death, and the true nature of reality. Death, the greatest teacher in the art of living now. Consider this profound revelation. Death, far from being an end, is actually our greatest teacher in the art of living. Through our journey into the Egyptian Book of the Dead, we have uncovered timeless truths that transcend cultural and religious boundaries. This ancient text does not tell us to fear death. It challenges us to confront our mortality, not with fear, but with courage and curiosity. A radical shift in perspective. Imagine waking up every day as if it were your last, with the awareness that every moment is precious and fleeting. How would this shift your priorities? How might it transform your relationships? Let me know in the comments below. As the ancient wisdom teaches, the whole of life is a preparation for the moment of truth. This perspective offers a radical shift in how we view both life and death, navigating life's transitions. By embracing the teachings of the Duat, we learn to navigate life's transitions with greater knowingness, wisdom, and clear vision, recognizing that each change, each challenge is a mini-death and rebirth. This is just the beginning of the journey into the unknown. Ready to dive even deeper? If you're ready, dive even deeper. If you're ready to question everything you think you know about reality and who you really are, then don't miss out on our latest deep dive exploring the hidden secret to creating your reality. Want to keep exploring these mysteries with us? Drop a yes in the comments. Let me know what hidden truths you want to uncover next. And remember, your thoughts help to shape our journey. You're not merely a viewer here. You're part of the Mystery School family. Together we can explore and unravel the mysteries that really matter. Keep shining bright, truth seekers.